most of us don't know. Yes, and so, oh, how you doing, Ify? Um, I would love for you guys to be speakers if you guys would love to, or if you guys would want to speak. Um, but so how you doing, how are you on? Um, but yes, melanin has the capability of absorbing the full spectrum of light. Um, the full spectrum of light meaning X-rays, microwaves, uh, you know, radio waves, things of that nature. Which is why the sun is so good for uh, melanin inside of a melanin being skin. Yes, and
It's
because
sad to say, but I think it's literally been 5 months since I went outside to go see the sunlight.
oh no, not 5 months. um,
It's just because of COVID,
yeah, yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I've been outside a little, but not for so long.
Right, I completely understand. I would highly suggest to get sunlight. One because of the vitamin D, and the vitamin D is necessary for our bodies to actually function properly. But also, you also get information from the sun. Information meaning messages. So the sun sends out radio waves, right? And like I said earlier, the melanin absorbs a full spectrum of light. And so the melanin in our pigments actually receives messages from the sun. And those messages can include things like, cosmic uh, forces being shifted in the universe, such as when there was the Great Conjunction, when what was it? Jupiter and Saturn were like a mile away from each other, right? Those things have a domino effect here on Earth, and our melanin is able to pick up from that from the sun's radio waves, telling us, "Hey, this is happening," right? Now, of course, it's not like we can't hear it, but our melanin is able to absorb it, right? So, going back to what I was saying, um, because it's able to absorb the full spectrum of light, we have to be very conscious on many things that we are doing. For instance, the brain uses electrons to send thoughts out throughout, other parts of the brain, right? So those electrons are actually not solely contained inside of your skull. They are actually able to come out of the skull and go out into the atmosphere, right? And when this happens, you are able to pick up on people's thoughts, literally, right? Which is why you might say something, and then someone will be like, "Hey, I was just thinking the same thing." Are you following me? Right? Those things happen because of that phenomena, and because of that phenomena, is another reason why we had to be careful, because some people who are around us can be thinking thoughts that are negative in nature, and because we have melanin in us, we are able to pick those processes up, and it can affect us negatively. Uh, an example of this would be uh, a person who goes to work, and all of his coworkers and his bosses are just like have really really negative energy, and he's able to pick up on that energy, and it makes him have a bad day even though they're not really saying anything to him. Are you following? It's a very similar process. So the full spectrum light. Another thing that we have to look out for is of course this goes without saying, but I'm gonna speak on it anyway. The food we eat, right? The food is of almost the utmost importance, right? With the food that we eat, I'm trying to frame this in the best way I could possibly frame this. we had to be careful on the food we eat because we have melanin, right? And melanin absorbs more than a person without melanin. So, for instance, say a black person is eating a candy bar, right, and a white person is eating a candy bar, correct? If if the black person has the same exact candy bar, has the same sugar, has the same fiber, has the same non-nutrients available, right? And they're eating this bar, right? And the black person is going to have a more adverse effect to the bar than the Caucasian because of the melanin. The melanin, it it has these things called melanin sites, and those melanin sites are they're sent out to attached to the chemicals, right? And when they're attached to the chemicals, it it makes it harder for it to get out of the body, right? So, with that being said, we had to watch out. When I say we, those who have melanin had to watch out for what we eat even more, which is another reason why melanated beings are dying of diabetes and heart attacks and asthma so much higher than other races. Of course, it's because of the food we eat, but also it's because of the melanin. The melanin reacts to it a lot more differently than, say, someone who has less melanin or no melanin. Another thing being said, the music we listen to is also very, 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 very extremely important. And it's really sad to see. Not only am I a holistic healer and an herbalist and all these other things, but I'm also a professional dancer. I've danced with Beyonce, Big Sean, The Rock, a whole bunch of people, right? And a lot of the music that's out is not saying anything. But not only is it not saying anything, it's saying very, very destructive things. It talks a lot about sex in a very negative way. It talks a lot about women in a very negative way. It's all negative, and that energy is picked up by the melanin, and it has more of an adverse effect than it does people who don't have melanin. Before I move on, does anybody have anything to say? Any questions? I don't want to be alone talking here. This is a conversation. Oh, if you have a question, please raise your hand. I definitely want to answer any questions or any thoughts, or just have an open discussion. Oh, no one raised their hand. Okay, continuing. Um, Another thing that we have to watch out for as melanated beings is the electromagnetic frequencies in the atmosphere. Following me? 4G, 3G, 5G, all those things. Of course, everybody has to watch out for these things because these things are actually very detrimental to the body. The actual Earth, the Earth's normal electrical magnetic frequency is only 7.8 hertz. I'm going to repeat that again. the normal Earth's frequency is only 7.8. 4G, I'm sorry, 5G is at 30 gigahertz, which is about 30 million or 30 billion more times higher than the Earth's natural frequency. That is a huge difference. That is a ridiculously huge difference, which is another reason why we're getting cancer at an all-time rate. Another reason why we're getting all these different diseases that can be avoided at such a high rate. Following, and it's really unfortunate, and I just really want to bring to people's attention, at least my people, about this phenomenon that's happening. Hold on a second. How you doing, Alexa? How you doing?
Hey, I'm good. How are you?
I'm well. I'm well. You doing well? Living life. Just talking. What are your thoughts on nutrition in general? Or do you have any thoughts?
I'll be the wrong person to ask.
Oh man. So
uh,
how is your health? Do you take health seriously, or is it like a a recreational thing, or how's it with you?
I mean, I'm healthy. Can I be healthier? Yes.
Mm-hmm. I completely understand that.
Have I done it yet? No.
What do you mean?
Like, I know my eating habits could be better, a lot better.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Overstood. Do you kind of understand how nutrition is not just what we eat, is also other factors? Does that make sense to you?
Other factors like what?
So, for instance, like I said earlier, because melanin absorbs the full spectrum of light, everything ha- ha- has a effect on the melanated being's presence or body. Excuse me. For instance, the atoms that everything is made up of vibrate, right? And that vibration creates a something we call a frequency, right? And that frequency has an energy, and that energy is shown in the form of light. So your desk, your books, your the light, the sounds, all that stuff is absorbed by your body. So technically, it is considered nutrition for your body. Now it could also be considered negative nutrition for your body. Depending if you know what it is you are consuming. But does that kind of make sense? A little more sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
That's fine. But yeah, I really, I, my whole goal as a holistic healer is to spread this message. The reason being is because for me, I have cured myself from my asthma, and I say cured not lightly. About 4 months ago, 4 or 5 months ago, I was taking my inhaler religiously. Like it was to the point where I would take it about 10 to 20 times a day, which is extremely bad. You're only supposed to take it every 4 hours. Like I was taking it at least every hour or so, right? And my asthma was so bad, and I couldn't figure out what was wrong. And then I told myself, hey, I'm either gonna die trying, or I'm gonna die with this asthma. You know what I mean? So I was like, nah, I can't. I can't allow myself to go out like that. So I went on the healing journey, right? And um, I started drinking water, which was the single biggest thing that I suggest and highly encourage everybody doing is just to drink more water. That by itself does ridiculous wonders, because in 1 month I went from 10 to 20 puffs to 5. That's a drop of 150 to 50%. That is a really big difference,
wow.
right? And that's just from drinking a gallon of water a day. You know what I mean? Just water. And then after that, I changed my diet. And when I say diet, I mean like the actual food I ate. So I went. I don't eat meat anymore. I don't eat any more candy. I don't do sweets. I really just do fruits, vegetables, nuts, and seeds, and that's basically it. I don't really eat anything else because I, I I know what it does to me. Now, granted, everybody is different. Some people are able to eat fish. Some people can eat beef. Some people can eat those different things. But for me personally, I wasn't able to do that. And so now, like I said, when I said cure, like I don't have asthma anymore. Like I don't use my inhaler anymore. It's really a blessing because my whole life I've been plagued with asthma. I've been to the hospital I don't even know how many times I've been to the hospital, more times than I can count. But there were 3 times that I went to the hospital that were just extremely bad. Like I was on a ventilator. You know, I had the tube down my throat. I was unconscious for at least a day or two during each of those. You know, and so like when I tell you these things about that you could really cure yourself of these diseases, I'm speaking from experience. And I do want to say this: I'm not a qualified physician or doctor. I do a lot of studying and I do a lot of uh, meditating, but I'm not a doctor. I do want to put that out there because you have to put that out there, or else they'll come for you. But
Right.
I have like healed myself from asthma, and I've healed other people from their ailments as well. So I know that this is a real thing, right? And like I said earlier, I'm an herbalist as well. So like I I study the herbs and I study the different properties of the herbs. Like this herb is an anti-inflammatory. This herb is a demulcent, meaning like it helps coat the mucous membranes. This herb is an expectorant, meaning it helps break up the mucus so it can get out of your body. I really study these things and I really do this. And I've always tested them out on my own body before I brought it to the public, and I've been able to heal so many people, and not just through herbs. Like I helped this one man. I don't even know how, but I helped this one man with his marriage, and it wasn't even on purpose. It was like it just kind of came up. Like now they're like so much more happier together. Like it's a beautiful thing. I'll be honest, but like healing is a really beautiful thing. But one thing I will say is that it's very very difficult to do. It is extremely not for the faint of heart. It's a tough process. I wanted to quit, healing myself. Throughout the process, even though I saw progress, it was still difficult following. And for instance, the hardest thing to heal yourself from is mental trauma, and mental trauma is the cause of a lot of physical ailments. You could have mental trauma and have heart pain or back pain from that mental trauma, you know, and it's really important to meditate, and it's really important to come to a consensus within yourself that this is no longer affecting me. This is not me. This is not who I am. It happened to me, but it's not who I am, and that's something very important to do. Um, but yeah, I do want to. If anybody has a question, please, don't hesitate to ask or comment. But yeah,
I would want you to go back to what you said about music and what they're saying and the vibrations.
yes. Okay, so sound has a vibration. Everything has a vibration. Oh, before I go into this, let me explain so you have a little background. I have a bachelor's in electrical engineering. I worked at the Newport News shipyard, which is the most advanced shipyard in the world. They're the only shipyard who make what they make. I can't even tell you what they make because it's secret. But they're the only people who are able to do that, right? And so I say that to say that I do understand electromagnetics because I did have to study it, right? And so everything has a vibration, right? The atoms, water, lights, books. Even though it doesn't look like it's moving, right? The atoms are moving, right? And that vibration, that movement of energy, create something called a frequency. A frequency. How do I explain this? Have you ever seen a a cosine wave or a sine wave, or how do I explain that?
No.
Okay. I wish I could show it to you, but I can't even show it to you because I'm not on video. If you take a straight line and you make half circles on it, so it's like a how do you explain that?
I get straight line with half circles. I get that.
Okay. So it's a wave, right? And those are frequencies, and the size of the frequency is called the amplitude, right? And sound has a frequency to it, right? And certain notes, like A, B, C, D, E, F, G, on the musical scale, are correlated to different chakra points on your body. If I'm not mistaken, the root chakra is C, and then it goes up from there, and I think it goes to G at the top, if I'm not mistaken. But I can't remember off the top of my head. But with that being said, the music that we listen to, the actual beats are tribal beats, right? So it appeals to our how do I explain it? It appeals to our ancestral roots, right? When we would beat on the drums and whatnot, right? So the beats are not necessarily the issue, right? It's the language that's being said through those beats, right? And because the beats are something that we enjoy, we automatically like what we're listening to. It's something that we are down to get with, if that makes sense. So like we're not in our head to the music, we're like, oh, I like this, and then the words come on. We may not even listen to the words. We might just like the beat so much that we just like,
right.
Jam into the beat, right? Because the beat is so hard. but
right.
our subconscious mind is not able to differentiate good and bad, right? So if we put in our mind words that we're not like consciously listening to, our subconscious is still able to pick it up because it picks up everything, right? All of our memories, all of our experiences are stored in our subconscious. So when we listen to the music that doesn't really have any substance, like they're not actually saying anything of value, that can have a detrimental effect on our bodies. Not only our bodies, but like how we are, how we behave, how we act, how we conduct ourselves in day-to-day lives. For instance, there has been a extremely large influx of rappers dying. It is an extremely large influx of rappers dying. It's like every day a new rapper is dying. It's really sad. But what they are saying in their lyrics are things that kind of cause that to happen, if that makes sense. I'm not wishing any ill to anybody, but if you're gonna say things along the lines that are negative, then those negative things are gonna kind of be in your atmosphere. You know what I mean? But that's the same.
Wow.
Yeah, but that's the same thing that happens when we listen to it, right? When we listen to that music, that is still the energy of the song is in our atmosphere, right? Now, I'm not saying that anything negative is necessarily going to happen by listening to that music, but it can have a detrimental effect, which is why jazz is good to listen to, or like music that is saying something like Tupac was saying stuff, or J. Cole says things of quality. You know what I mean? Like Cardi B and Meg Thee Stallion don't actually say much in their songs. They talk about sex and money and that's basically it. You follow me, like, right? It's and another reason why that's so critical is that when we allow our children to listen to that music, it's especially when they're in the infancy stage, they don't actually know anything different. When the way that children learn is through what they see on the outside world, right? So if how you doing, Dr. Jacko? It's good to see you. Um, um, damn, where was I? Oh yeah, children. The children are only able to absorb what is around them, right? So if they're only listening to Cardi B or Meg Thee Stallion or things that are not actually benefiting them in any way, they're going to start emulating what they hear and what they see. So it's really important to give them real nutrients and give them things that are going to actually benefit them in the long run. But that also goes for yourself as well. Did I answer the question?
Yeah, you answered it.
Oh, wonderful. How you doing, Dr. Jacko?
Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me. I'll be on and on my Peloton at the same time.
Okay.
So I might be out of breath, but I'm here to participate in the conversation.
No, it's all right. I understand. I appreciate you coming. For those who were here earlier, did you guys have a question about anything I said, or is everything good? If no one says anything, I assume that everything's good. Okay. Hold on a second. One thing I do want to say is that as a herbalist, I do highly suggest that everybody create their own herbal apothecary in their house, right? Meaning, get your own herbs in a nutshell. Because the plants that grow out of the ground, I don't want to say all of them because some of them are actually poisonous to the body or can have detrimental effects, especially when they're used in large doses. But the ones that are at least commonly used, I do suggest that everybody get those, because what happens if the pharmacies are shut down and you have asthma, but you don't have any lobelia or cayenne pepper or any licorice root to actually help you get through what it is that you're getting to. Following, I've had that happen. I've had to go through asthma attacks all night. I went to this one asthma attack. It was literally like 8 hours long, and I didn't have an inhaler, and I had to wait for the morning time until my the CVS opened. But if I would have had some lobelia and some cayenne pepper, I could have helped myself. You follow me? And I really highly suggest that everybody get some of that. Does anybody have a question about melanin nutrition or anything like that?
What is good for us? Like, what are some things that are good for us?
Oh, wait, hold on. Oh, wait. Okay. Sophia, I'm going to answer this question and then raise your hand again. so I can, bring you in. Things that are good for melanated beings. So if you are a follower of Dr. Sebi and Dr. Layla Africa and all the other pioneers of the African diaspora in terms of nutrition and health and well-being, they always talk about plant-based diets, right? I don't suggest eating meat at all. That's just my opinion, but it's also kind of a thing where it's like, you do know that paras- some parasites do not die after they're heated. So you can heat them up and then ingest them and still have parasites inside of your body. So that's just me. I'm not saying that you have to do that, but you know, I don't do it. Now, one thing that I do highly suggest that everybody do if you're a melanated being, I mean, really everybody, but you know, especially those who are melanated beings, is eating more veggies, eating more veggies, eating more vegetables and fruits. It's so it's really crazy how simple it is, yet hard it is, right? It's not hard to go to the store and get some kale and some lettuce and some spinach and you know apples and put it together. But it's hard to get some kale, spinach, and apples and put it together, put it together because of the way that the society is kind of put together right now. But in terms of us, the vegetables, fruits, nuts, seeds, and water are highly encouraged by me. I encourage that to the utmost, and to the utmost, and the reason being is because I've done it myself. Like now, everybody's body is different, but melanin is still melanin, no matter who it's in. So I highly suggest. Oh shit! What in the world? Excuse me, sorry. My cat just like rubbed up on my leg, and I didn't know what it was. Highly suggest on drinking at least half of your body weight in ounces a day. So if you weigh 200 pounds, 100 ounces a day, you know, if you weigh 150 pounds, then that's 75 ounces a day. I would suggest drinking more than that, but at least that amount. And then, like I said, your fruits and vegetables, nuts and seeds, and vitamin D. Get in the sun. I know that we're during COVID season right now, but the sun is that important. Vitamin D is important. It is very important. And if I'm not mistaken, vitamin D is not a vitamin; it's a hormone. So it's extremely important to get vitamin D. to get vitamin D. Hold on a second. Let me. Okay. Did I answer your question, Alexa?
Yeah, you answered it.
Wonderful. So, Sophia, did you still have a question? Hello?
I just wanted to mention some other ones, though. This is Dr. Kell. I'm the nationally recognized naturopathic physician. So vitamin D is definitely one, obviously, because we have melanin, and so that gets blocked. So we're going to have less of it. The other ones that have been studied in terms of micronutrients that have been more deficient for folks of racial, ethnic, or melanin has been also vitamin E is actually one, which is a fat-soluble vitamin, as well as vitamin D and magnesium, as well as iron. A lot of people struggle with iron deficiency, especially women that are of color. So I just wanted to mention a few other ones. Magnesium, many people in our population are deficient in.
Right.
Also, B6 is another one in terms of some of the B vitamins. So just wanted to mention that, and just making sure the foods that you're having are higher in antioxidant status, which are usually like the dark green leafy vegetables, the fruits, and those things. But in terms of studies, there's been deficiencies of some of those key vitamins, and then also the antioxidants, which are coming from more the colorful foods that we have in the B vitamins as well.
Right. One more thing, I'm gonna piggyback off what she said. There's an herb called sarsaparilla, and it is the Jamaican sarsaparilla, not the sarsaparilla that comes from India. It's spelled the same exact thing, but it's not the same thing. The Jamaican sarsaparilla has the highest iron count of all the plants ever, or at least right now. And I use that daily. It also is high in magnesium and what's the other one? I can't remember off the top of my head, but it's high in iron and magnesium, right? And which is why I suggest everybody get their own herbal apothecary, because you can get those minerals that you may be missing from the food that we're eating or the food that we're not eating. Anyway, I'm sorry. Sophia, did you have a question again?
also,
Oop.
sarsaparilla is Smilax, which is
Yes.
also used to support autoimmune conditions
Right.
for your immune function. So I wanted to mention some other benefits, especially with everything going on with this year. So it's also helpful for that, and is actually one of the safe ones if there's an autoimmune condition to take, because it's not immune stimulating. It's a modulator.
Hey.
Can you spell that?
Sarsaparilla? Oh, dang. How do you spell that? Hold on.
Sarsaparilla.
Yes. See, I would have got that all wrong.
You said SARSAPARILLA?
Yes, and another name, the common name is called Smilax, SMILAX, but sarsaparilla is the Latin name of it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And that comes in like a dry herb?
Yeah.
Yeah, you could do dry herb, tincture, there's many different forms with it.
Okay.
You can get, I'm not endorsed by these people, but I get my herbs from them. Or at least one of them. Mountain Rose Herbs. They have the Jamaican sarsaparilla. I couldn't find it anywhere else.
You said mountain.
A rose, like the plant.
Okay.
Herbs. MountainRoseHerbs.com.
Okay. I have a question about the science behind having more melanin in your skin and having a plant-based diet.
When you say the science behind it, are we talking about
like what's the rationale behind it? Is there any rationale behind it?
The rationale behind having a
like
plant-based
not
diet?
Eating meat.
Okay. Well, if we take melanin out of the equation, right, and just deal with meat, some parasites don't die when you heat it up. So when you heat it up in the oven or on the stove or wherever you heat it up at and you eat it, those parasites are still living inside of your system. And actually, if you eat meat, you more than likely have parasites in your system. I might have parasites in my system and I need to cleanse. but if you eat meat, then you have parasitism. So just disregarding the melanin, just the meat itself isn't good for a human body because of the parasites. Now, if we were a lion, if I'm not mistaken, lions would have that type of defense mechanism in their gut, if that makes sense. Dr. Jacko, if you have any more comments on that, I definitely wouldn't mind.
Yeah, I'll try to chip in when I can because I'm kind of trying to do a couple things. But you're talking about plant-based diet, about why that would be. I just want to make sure I'm answering the question right.
What I'm asking is why is it particularly more beneficial if you have higher melanin than not?
Oh.
So I know some of the why it would be. Some of those nutrients just tend to be less absorbed. I mean, all of the mechanisms I'm not sure, but I do know that those micronutrients tend to be deficient, and all those micronutrients you can get in vegetables, like dark green leafy vegetables. We said magnesium tends to be deficient, vitamin E, vitamin D, and so those are largely based in a lot of those plants. Also, unfortunately, a lot of people, depending on where you are and where you live, if you have more environmental exposures or living in an urban area, whatever areas too, those are just going to make you less having of, a lot of backgrounds, having more like pro-inflammatory state. And so you're going to need it more. Also, we're also under a lot of stress. And so just generally, culturally. And so because of that, you'll also have more of a demand for your body for things like B vitamins. So I think to me, it would be a combination of all those things. Like biochemistry-wise, I'd have to get back to you, Safia, but I know in terms of like likelihood based on like environmental circumstances and life circumstances, definitely so, outside of vitamin D.
What she said.
Yeah, that's helpful. Thank you. I was reading about like blood type diet, and it was saying like vitamin A. People with blood type A tend to have a weaker immune system. That's why they suggest plant based. So I was just wondering, with the extra melanin, what would be the rationale, and that does make a lot of sense. Thank you.
For me, I'm not a doctor. I do want to preface this with that. So, for me, when it comes to plant-based diets, I try to eat according to what my ancestors ate, right? And now not only according to what my ancestors ate, but what feels right for my body, and my body particularly, meat does not work. Whenever I eat meat, I get constipated for like a week. It just doesn't work for me. But yeah, that was just my 2 cents on that. Mahib. Hello?
If you look at the blood type diet,
Hello.
Actually, a lot of, if you follow that, everybody follows a different thing. They actually African Americans usually fall more into the blood type O, and that's because hunter gatherer, in terms of just they tend to be more blood type O. And in that, if Dr. Sam was here, blood type diet is actually more protein and meat based. But everyone has a different variation to it. But most African Americans are actually blood type O.
Mahib?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yep.
Awesome. So great chat. Wanted to say, for me personally, eating meat doesn't really cause any problems for me. I don't really monitor anything regarding melanin, so I can't really speak on that. But no qualms here.
Well, that's good. I'm glad.
Thank you.
If you do eat meat, I do suggest doing some type of parasite cleanse. Not because the meat is affecting your system, but because of the parasites. Parasites do live. Like, I know you've seen those videos where they have some meat and then they pour Coke on it, and then there's parasites that come out of nowhere. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like those big tapeworms.
Yeah, like those are so crazy.
No, you're right. Yeah, my cat has tapeworms. That's not gonna happen to me.
Well, that's good.
Hell no.
Also, fish have a lot, so a lot of people get it from that as well. So, but I am a protein. I'm not vegan, so just as a FYI.
Yeah, I tend to not eat meat. Well, not tend to. I haven't had meat in like a year and a half or so, because it just doesn't sit well with my particular body. But anyway, yes. Let me. I thought someone raised their hands. My fault. But if you do eat meat, I really do highly suggest to do a cleanse. Like black walnut hull is a good herb for that. So is wormwood. What was the other one? Paul Diaco, if I'm not mistaken, is another one. But don't quote me on don't quote me on that one. I can't remember off the top of my head. But yeah. Anybody else have a question? I think I saw someone put their hand up.
I just want to ask a question of, have you guys noticed any, kind of downsides in being in front of a screen and what that light does to your skin? Like being in front of a TV or a computer screen all day?
And for me, in terms of my skin, I haven't seen I haven't noticed anything, but I haven't really tried to pay attention to that. So that's something I'm going to look at now. But when it comes to other things, I do notice that when I'm staring at a screen, like my phone all day, because I'm typing up something and I'm trying to post something on Instagram or something, my eyeballs start to become pain. Like it like I have to stop and take a break because it kind of hurts. But yeah, that's just me. I haven't heard anything when it comes to skin. I haven't looked that up. I haven't thought to look that up. But I'm definitely going to pay attention to that now to see if my skin has an effect on it. But I'm sure it does because, like I said, the melanin does absorb the full spectrum of light, so it is able to pick up on this light, and because it is artificial light, it probably does have an effect. But I haven't really looked into it. But I'm definitely going to look at it now.
It definitely has other. I'm sorry, I'm out of breath. I have a Peloton date with my sister and 15 of her friends. I have to do it. So it does affect your neurotransmitters, though, like your norepinephrine levels and things like that. Just the chronic looking at screens. So mentally, it definitely affects you and your ability to, like, in terms of anxiety and stress and things like that, too.
Right. Well, I'm glad she said that because I did not know that. I mean, I knew that.
Interesting. That's interesting. I'm a school counselor, and I just had an email from a ninth grader that just said he just can't do it. I mean, they were on the screen for 5 hours straight, 7:30 a.m. to 12:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. And it's just it's horrible.
Yeah.
And our district didn't think to give these kids a break in between.
Oh yeah.
And a lot of these kids, especially because I see a lot of kids, they're on the video games, especially boys at nighttime. And I've actually done studies with tracking, and the norepinephrine levels are through the roof. So then they have sleep issues, and norepinephrine is related to making decisions, ADHD, all of those things. So it really does have an effect.
Yeah, I had another call this morning with a parent whose child. Well, I was talking to mom on the phone, and the child I called him in Teams, so I was video chatting him. He didn't have his screen on, but I could hear him. This was 8 o'clock a.m. I could hear him talking. And I'm thinking he's saying, things like, yo, bro. And I know, I'm like, he's in class. Who is he talking to? He's on a video game. 8 a.m. while he's supposed to be in class. So it's just so much going on. And mom is saying to me, okay, he's a senior in high school. She's saying to me, he's on the video game all night. Yeah. So this is what's happening. And then he's lying to me, telling me he wasn't on a video game because he had cut his video on. He cut the chat on, but he didn't realize that I could hear him. And all I could hear in the background was people chatting. So they were playing the video game, chatting. That's all I could hear. And he's supposed to be in class.
Right.
So it's just it's unbelievable what's happening.
Yeah. Games are definitely addicting. And I have an experience with that myself. I'm not even sure how I broke out of that, but I used to play games all the time, during the day, and then at nighttime I'll stay up till 5 in the morning, and then go to sleep, and then wake up at noon and do it all again. I don't really know how I got out of that. But games are really addicting. And it really is sad that that's happening. My brothers had a similar incident, but I think the difference is that they do sports, and so they're outside a lot. And they're not actually able to be on their phones when they're doing the exercises and whatnot. And I think that has a
that's what will separate the kids. This is a football kid, so now we're in the winter, so he's out of that season.
Right.
So now he's stuck in the house and he's playing video games.
Right. You said that he was a senior in high school.
Yeah. Senior high school.
Yeah.
But and mom said he's playing video games with college students because a lot of his friends are in college.
Right. Yeah. When you're a senior in high school, it's a lot harder to tell them don't do this and they listen. Right.
My suggestion to mom was to take it at around 11:30 to 12 o'clock, make some type of contract with him.
Yeah.
And take it. I said, Mom, you might have to sleep under it, bury it, because he's going to look for it. He's addicted now.
Yeah.
and then take it to work with her because she's at work during the day. And then, he can, during the day, do school and then do homework. And then when you get home, he can have the video game till, 11:30, 12 o'clock at night. But, a lot of that is hard to be established when they're older.
Right. It makes it a lot harder, yeah. And these video games are addicting on purpose, so they can get your money, It's similar to how sugar is addicting, and they put sugar in everything so they can make you buy more stuff. Actually, if I'm not mistaken, there's actually a type of sugar that they don't have to put on the label. I'm not sure which type it is, but there's a type of sugar that they don't have to put on the ingredient list. I can't remember which one it is, but there is one. Right, but it's a really it's really crazy what's happening. But I'm gonna be on for about 6 more minutes because I have another meeting at 6. But does anybody have a question or a comment? Oop, it seems like no one has a comment. Well, if no one has a comment or question, I might as well end it now. I do appreciate everybody coming to be a part of the chat. Please follow me and Dr. Jacko if you haven't already. And we do these conversations every Tuesday and Thursday at 5 p.m. Pacific Pacific Standard Time. So the West Coast time. And if there are no more questions or comments or anything like that, I'm gonna wrap this one up. I do appreciate everybody coming. All right, guys. Have a good one.